Welcome back to the Nerdrotic channel. My name is Gary Beekler. I am live in San Francisco, California, and I come to you from nerdrotic.com. And down in San Diego is my good friend and co-host Dennis Bathalkas. How are you, Dennis?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing a lot better than Preacher is doing right now.
Yeah, we were just hey everybody in the chat. We'll get to you in just a minute, and we're covering Preacher season 3, episode 3, Gonna Hurt. And this is a show I love. I love this show. I love the cast, but I think it's fallen on hard times, guys.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure. We'll get to it. I'm not too sure how I feel about how the show ended. I don't know how much interest there is in the show, and this might be a reflection of interest in like edgelord shit. Okay, so this is an edgelord show. It's Preacher. It's a Vertigo comic. It almost invented edgelord, and it's not for everybody. And it's been a tough sell. It's been they've been talking about making a movie for years since the comic came out. So we finally got a TV series, and the first season was brilliant. But I want you to think about where we were season 1, episode 3, to where we are here in season 3, episode 3, and how far the story had moved along compared to how far the story has moved along now. We did summon you, random gaming user. You have been summoned. And I just popped up in our very long pre-production meeting. I think Dennis and I were in the meeting for 75 hours straight. We were looking at the ratings. So before we even get to the recap, Dennis, let's just get the bad news out of the way.
Yeah, right the ratings are shit.
They're tanking. Yeah. Okay. And I want you guys to look at, this is TV series finale. This is the go-to place. Susan turned me onto this. And look at that 18 to 49 demo, which is your target demo for a show like this. That's a 0.19, folks. That is 190,000 people. I think they've put more people in a football stadium in Brazil. Okay. And it's down. So if you look at the premiere episode, it's down 60% from last year. So that's down from last year. Now extended out, it's pretty good. All right. It's not terrible. If you go viewers in the millions, it's not quite a million. It's 800,000. All right. So that's decent for a cable show. To not compare it. Yeah. Not for AMC. No, for like, what happened. That was what Ash versus Evil Dead was getting in its first season. First and second season, and then it dropped down to 300,000. So the show is still getting some ratings, and I don't know how AMC does things as far as their DVR and streaming, which I think the vast the vast majority of people watch this show on that now. I think they stream it. So
yeah. And what was their tagline this year for their?
You can see it right there.
Yeah,
it says "Don't watch Preacher." I don't understand that. I know you're trying to be ironic and funny, but I think people are listening to you right now. So I don't know what are you guys, when you see this video, I'd love to hear you, please comment away. I don't want to be a doomsayer because I love this show. Okay. I love the character. I just love I love this comic book. I love this show. I don't want it to go anywhere. But there's not a ton of people talking about it, and I don't know how much interest there is. I saw Viking Bitch; she was kind of musing whether she liked the ending or not. And yeah, let's start breaking it down, and we'll get it because there's some great. But I mean, the show's funny as hell, man.
Yeah, it is funny, but I mean, you could totally tell it's different this season, completely different, and it's because you don't have either of the two showrunners anymore. Involved in this.
Seth Rogen. Yeah,
they're gone, and you could totally tell that's actually gone. We start off with Tulip going to the Grail office, the Grail offices. She's got the card, and she's driving like a bat out of hell through, to get to New Orleans, and they're gone. She basically beats up a janitor for no good reason. And
that was funny when she knocks him in the head, and it's in most TV shows the guy would be like knocked out, and he was just on the ground going, "Ow! I just sweep the floors, lady."
Yeah, you just ask, "Can I help you?" And she's just boom, bumps him in the head, and sees that they're all gone. And she finds a box full of cards, just nothing but the cards, and takes off. And on her way back, she starts hearing some 50s music coming in over the radio, and she sees a motorcycle following her. So she pulls over, and riding the motorcycle is God, because we've seen God in the dog suit. And he comes over and pulls off his mask, and we see light coming from his mask, and it fills the car. And he starts talking to Tulip, and says, she goes, "Well, you look like fake God. Why is that?" And he goes, "Oh, that's by design." And then he starts talking about, he's got plans, and she's part of those plans, and everything that happened, the reason why she messed up, it was all part of this plan, and
it's all part of God's plan.
Yeah, and he says, "You know what? I give my creations free will." And he goes, "Free will is a blessing and a curse." And he tells her not to despair, that there is a plan in place. And as he's taking off, she goes, No, wait a minute. I'm calling bullshit on this." And she goes, "What are you doing down here? What are you doing here?" And
Right.
He goes, "Well,
you got the dog suit on.
Yeah.
You got the ponytail, the Harley, her.
Yeah. And he says, "Oh, I'm preparing a test for humanity. Kind of call it a pass-fail test." And Tulip's still not falling for this shit. And she goes, "You know what? I think you're hiding from something." And this is when God, goes into full-on God mode there, grows a little bit, and he says, "Don't screw with me," basically. And he pushes her back, kind of, smites her a little bit, gets on his motorcycle and drives off.
Right. Yeah. We get a little God mode here. So, and this is kind of like the comic God a little bit. I mean, they're throwing little bits of and pieces of the comic in here. But and yeah, that part was funny. This was a pretty good episode. This was a pretty decent episode. It's actually been okay. I mean, I've had no real problems with season 3, but you can tell it's different.
Yeah.
It's reminding me a lot of Ash versus Evil Dead season 3, which was really good, but you could tell it was different.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's just differences, and we got to see how it plays out.
Yeah.
This one it is definitely moving faster than season 2 did. I'll give it that. It's while you're still in Angelville's like a much more interesting place than staying at Daryl's house.
Dude, that Daryl's house thing in New Orleans was just that just
was it Dennis or Daryl?
Dennis.
Yeah. Dennis. Yeah, Dennis. Sorry.
That just dragged everything down and just
So at least Madame Lagelle and Jody and TC are they're good. So
yeah. And speaking of TC, we go back to Angelville, and TC is digging a bullet out of Cassidy's shoulder as Cassidy's huffing some juice there, some
mixture of hemlock and some other. He's like, I recognize something in there.
Naphthalene.
No, it's hemlock. Oh, hemlock. Yeah, it's been a while.
And he starts questioning why Cassie doesn't, because Cassie starts talking about all these different times he's been injured. Like he almost got cut in half by a samurai sword, by a jealous husband. Jealous wife shot him in the back with a shotgun, killing the husband who was blowing him at the time.
Yep. He's all, if there was a patron saint for irony, I'd be it.
And so TC starts questioning why Cassie doesn't have any scars. He goes, "Well, I just don't scar. Maybe it's resilience."
Yeah.
And also why he's not dead. And so he kind of leaves, not thinking much of it. And he goes go get some more consomme, some swamp consomme, which we now know is what swamp consomme is made out of.
Yes.
I love how Cassie goes, "You know what? Even though I know what it's made out of, I still kind of want some."
Yeah.
And then we go back to Tulip telling Jesse, she's sitting on top of Jesse there, that God found her and that he's scared of Jesse. That's what she's thinking. And so they start talking about Grandma as well. And she's like, "Well, why don't you just tell Grandma to give you that thing back?" And she goes, "I'll go down there. I'll beat up the old bitch," is what she says. He goes, "Don't go near Grandma. She's dangerous." And honestly, this episode could be just titled "No One Listens to Jesse."
No.
That's pretty much what this all is no one listens to Jesse.
Well, and that's I think that's by design. Like his voice isn't working either. The power isn't working, and I think that
and no one trusts him.
Yeah, and they don't. Well, they don't, and he hasn't been completely honest with everybody either. Let's just say that. And I don't think they know the seriousness of being in Angelville though, and Jesse does. Jesse knows like how bad these people are and how powerful Grandma is, and they're not taking it very seriously right now.
Yeah. And so the next morning, Jesse's he's gonna go to church with Jody, is what we hear. And before that, he goes and has a talk with Cassidy and tries to warn him that Angelville's a really dangerous place. That don't let them know that you're a vampire. He goes, because if they know that you're a vampire, he goes, that's magic's one thing. He goes, monsters is another. And Cassidy gets offended that he's being called a monster.
Yeah. Well, they had a short conversation too, where Jesse was basically, he's like, "You listen, I'm sorry, all the crap that's gone on. You're my best friend." He's like, "You've never told me that."
Yeah,
I'm sure I must have said it once or twice. Nope, that's the first time you said it. Cassidy is like, of course, he's in love with Tulip, but he's also pretty butthurt about Jesse. But Cassidy's an a-hole. We can't forget that. Like, he's really horrible at judgment. I mean, even before he was a vampire, he's always been a shit. So, and makes the wrong decision every time, kind of like the O'Hares.
Yeah, and there's just so many things that are wrong. And all this time, Jody, is saying, he keeps honking the horn. Come on, let's go. And Cassidy, of course, is healing because he found the blood bags that he had that he brought with him. Yeah. And he's eating the blood bags and he's healing up really quickly. And they had this conversation in the kitchen with TC and Jody that, he's healing really quick. And so they're kind of getting a little suspicious there. And so what Jesse ends up doing is he takes a knife and just jabs it back in the hole and creates the hole a little bigger again. And as soon as Jody comes in and TC, he goes, "Oh, doesn't look like he's healing up as quickly as you thought he was."
Right. And when Jesse apologizes, that Cassidy just thinks it's because he wants to get rid of him.
Yeah.
And he does, but it's not for getting away from Tulip. It's actually to save his life.
Yeah. And of course, Cassidy says he's not leaving without Tulip.
Of course not.
Yeah. So Jesse ends up leaving with Jody. And of course, Cassidy's up in bed. And what does Tulip decide to do? She decides to snoop in on Grandma. So she's eating, she's going through eating Swedish fish from an urn. What the hell? Man, I wouldn't have done that.
Fish.
And I love Swedish fish too, but not from an urn, man.
Not from an urn. Yeah, it's a little weird.
Yeah. And then she picks up a phone, and there's nothing on the other end. And all of a sudden she hears a voice. "What do you want?"
Yeah.
She hangs up. And she finally ends up picking the lock on a drawer, the set of drawers. And she finds a bloody, handkerchief, napkin, but she finds a whole bunch of bloody napkins, like hundreds of them. Thank you, Movie Fanobi, $1.99 for Neurotic Nobility, reviewing a failing show.
Sticking with it for now.
Yeah. And so she sees this little drip thing dripping into looks like a spittoon, and at the edge of a bed. And she goes over to take a look at it, and we see this hand pop out. And it's Madame Langel's hand, coming out there, and she freaks her out. So she leaves and goes and locks the door. And she ends up running to TC in the hallway. And TC had offered to show her his
dingle.
His dingle.
Yeah.
This is, when they're in the kitchen there. And she's like, "You know what, TC?" She goes, "I think I will take you up on that offer."
Yep.
Yeah.
So, she gets to see it. And he's all, "You won't touch it." And she's all, "Nope, I'm good." And she starts hitting him up about Madame Langell and like what happens if you break the compact.
Yeah. The blood compact is what these things are called. So basically what these bloody handkerchiefs are, they're contracts. And you don't get out of it until Madame Langell says that the debt is paid. Doesn't make any difference how much money you pay.
You can pay the actual debt, but she's got to give the word.
Yeah. And the funny thing about this is TC decides to tell her a story, and he goes, you want me to tell you a story? And she goes, "Yeah, I love a good story." He goes, "You're not going to like this one."
No.
And so he tells her about a guy who came in whose wife had a blood compact with Madame Langell, and he's going to pay anything. And he's throwing money down. He's throwing jewelry down and everything. Madame Langell gives him the bloody napkin, and he walks out. And in an act of defiance, he turns back to her and he goes, "This is what I think of your compact, you old bitch." And he rips it in half. And he turns, and his wife had been ripped in half. She just sprayed the back of him with blood.
Oh yeah, and then she's still alive too for a second.
Yeah.
She's like looking down, and it's all a 1950s horror. It's all black and white. Everything. That was pretty cool. That was, and it just seems like that is what's missing, right? They did that stuff like 4 or 5 times an episode. I could be wrong. I don't think so though. Yeah, I mean, it's so different from season 1. It just is.
Yeah, it is. And so finally Tulip says, I think I will touch your dingle. And she leans forward, and she's been playing with this little alligator toy the entire time. And she just clamps it on to TC's, nuts there. And she goes, "Okay, how do I break this?" And he goes, "Do you know voodoo?" She goes, "No." And he goes, "And there's no way you can do it unless you know magic. Because that's the only thing I know is going to break it." And so, you could squeeze all you want, but that's what's going to happen. And so she leaves him. And we have Cassidy in the meantime going down and talking to Grandma. He comes in and she goes, "What do you want, Irish? You just here to talk?" And he goes, "Well, I understand." He goes, "What are you, some kind of witch?" She goes, "No, I'm a healer. I heal things." He goes, "Well, if you're if you're a healer, how come you're still shitting in a bag?"
Yeah, I know. Not to be insensitive or anything. I was just wondering, why haven't you healed yourself? Yeah, and she says, "I'm working on that."
Yeah.
"But you didn't come here just to talk, did you?"
Yeah.
And
he wants a love spell for Tulip.
Yep. And she did offer him anything because she knew. She knows he's a vampire. She knows that she knows what's up. And yeah, he wants a love spell for Tulip.
Yeah. In the meantime, we've got Tulip heading out to see Madam Boyd, the competition.
Yes.
Not a good thing either. And Jesse, in the meantime, he and the crew are out there. Him and the crew, it's him and Jody, are going out and they're talking to
they're cruising 12-step meetings.
Yeah, they're looking for people that are addicts, and they're trying to recruit anybody without any luck. So they're trying to get them to go and take a look at Madame Langell. And the only question they keep getting asked is, "Are the tombs open? Are the tombs open?" And like, no, the tombs aren't open.
Yep.
So we don't know what the hell the tombs are as of yet. And so Jesse actually tries to get Jody to help him out and say, "Hey, can you help me get out of this?" And Jody's like, "No, you're in this." And he goes, "Well, you're in this as well." He goes, "Why don't you do it for my mom?" kind of thing. And he tries to guilt him into it. And Jody just, elbows him in the face. And that's when, Jesse says, "One of these days, Jody, one of these days."
Yeah.
Pow, right in the kisser.
That's right. And that's one of the things from the comic. And Man of Action, you're absolutely right. He said this show is balls out and dead on to the comic book. I love the show, but I'm so pissed how it is being treated by AMC. Could not agree more.
Yeah.
I agree more. Well said.
So Jesse ends up coming back, and he's talking to Grandma about Madam Boyd having the parish all sewn up, money wise and all, client wise. And she tells him that it's time the tombs are going to be reopened. And he's like, "No." And she goes, "Not your place." She goes, "You're going to do what you're told."
Yeah.
So
we made a deal.
Yeah.
And part of the deal is you're working for me now. So
yeah,
he's screwed.
And in the meantime, Jesse had taken Cassidy's blood bag. So Cassidy goes outside to go and catch a chicken to go and feed out at night. And TC catches Cassidy and finds out he's a vampire. Knocks him out and calls over Jody. And they decide to hang Cassidy upside down. We keep seeing this picture of a guy hanging upside down and burning on fire. It's a little animation that was on the wall that Cassidy had seen. And he knew this. He knew that this is what they do to vampires out there. And they're basically just waiting for the sun to rise.
Yeah, and he wasn't putting 2 and 2 together when he was looking at the pictures last episode.
Yeah.
And Jesse tried to convince him too. So yeah, they're gonna go do some target practice, and Jesse comes out and just says, "I got a better idea." And then we shoot over to Tulip and Madame Boyd.
Yeah, so Tulip gives a false name to get into Madame Boyd there, and talking about breaking a blood compact for her boyfriend. And she passes by all these guys with guns as she goes in to go and see Madame Boyd. And they know who she really is. They know who she's there for Jesse. And she ends up beating the shit out of the guy with the gun. And they're like, there's no way you're getting out of here, because she's in the motel.
Right.
She jumps on the guy's back and jumps through the window. And we see the two guys out there like, nope, you're going back in. They're throw her back in, knocking the guy out again. And she knocks what we think is Madame Boyd sitting there in front of her off of her little wheelchair. And it turns out to be a mummified corpse.
Yep.
So the woman,
the receptionist.
The receptionist who brought her in is actually the real Madame Boyd. And that's when Tulip pulls her gun out on her. Madame Boyd, I presume. Yeah. And we leave her there. And then we go back to the tombs, and it actually says, boom, the tombs in big letters on the screen. And we see that Jesse has reopened the tombs, and we see all these people that are huffing glue and whatnot. All the addicts are there, and they're getting ready to bet on a fight between the pedophile principal that we saw in the previous episode, and Cassidy, a vampire. And that's where we leave it off. Is the fight getting ready to get started?
Yeah, right when the fight is about to get started, I'm like, okay, here we go. And then I look down, I'm like, there's 25 seconds left. What the hell? And I could have done a whole episode of, and you could tell that's what they're going to do next week, which is fine. But here we are in episode 3, and we haven't seen. I don't think I would ever say this in my life before. We haven't seen Hitler yet. We haven't seen Arseface. The most exciting things was the Saint of Killers. You finally fucking see the Saint of Killers walking out of the gates of hell, which look awesome, by the way, in the scenes. And yeah, there's and
we're getting Satan finally too.
Yeah, so we're finally going to get Satan. I do miss the cast from the town too. I mean, I know they all blew up, but that's missed as well. So yeah, I don't know. We might see one of them return. Okay. I'm not saying they won't, but we'll see.
Yeah. I don't think we're going to have Jackie Earl Haley coming back though.
Well, he does. I don't want to say anything, but no comic spoilers, but
I don't think he's going to be that,
he's just a guest actor in some stuff, but I could see it. But it was a decent episode. All right. Again, the cast is great. They carry the show. It's funny. And the Madame Langell stuff, I love that music in the background for her. It's so ominous, and meat baby. That's right, Feisty. You cannot beat a meat baby. And having God come in, it is good. We're starting to see more cast kind of come in, but yeah, where the hell is everybody? It's usually by episode 3 you want to have some of your B cast members in the show. So we've really established the Angelville thing, unless they're not going to stay in Angelville the whole season, which they might not,
hopefully not. Yeah.
Yeah. We know Harry Starr has said, I'm going to let him wallow in it a little bit.
Yeah. Which means I'm not going to be back for a couple episodes,
which I when I heard that, I was like, oh man.
Yeah.
Harry Starr.
Yeah.
So that's it. So, I mean, listen, don't want to be a Debbie Downer, especially after we just watched the brilliant season finale of 12 Monkeys, which was very
series
good.
Finale.
Yeah, series finale. Yeah, definitely check out that show. This is still better than most shows, and I hope more people. I don't know if we could help, whatever we could do to help for more people to watch this show. But again, I think it might be just too edgelord for some people, and the normies run the show. And I don't know how many normies like this show.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know that we do. We comic fans do for sure.
So getting to the chat here, Man of Action says it has nothing to do with the show, the actors, or the show. It has to do with both AMC's promotions and the time slot, not to mention that the way how AMC treats this show. Yeah. And you know what? Honestly, it's not the slot that it's in, because Walking Dead was an hour earlier. Sure. It's at 6 o'clock our time, 9 a.m. or 9 p.m. normal time, I guess you could say. And so I don't see that being the problem. I think it has to do with AMC's promotions, their lack of coughing up the money for the production too. So that had a lot to do with it.
They've moved it around. I mean, it
Yeah.
used to be.
Well, it was on Sundays originally on the first season. Then it went Mondays.
Then
on
it went
the
Monday, and then it went back to Sunday.
Yeah.
When they premiered it in season 2, they did a premiere episode on Sunday and then on Monday, which was weird. Which probably confused the hell out of people. It's like, am I watching this Monday or Sunday now? I don't know.
Yeah.
And then it's back to Sunday. And honestly, this isn't the best time for TV. Like July and August are really quiet periods for television. That's where you experiment. That's where you put out, and you can put out a Better Call Saul in August, and that's going to get tons of ratings because it's a popular fucking show. But that's the exception. I think Preacher, I would put out Preacher like around Halloween. I don't know. I would do it in fall, but maybe that tells you what AMC thinks of it. It's in their prime slot, but it's July.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I don't know what to tell. Yeah. It's
too bad.
Yeah.
It's too bad. And hopefully we're wrong and it turns around. And like I said, the extended out ratings, we talked about the ratings earlier in case you missed it, and they're not good for the 1849 demo, but I don't know what the streaming ratings are. They could be really good.
Mary Ashmead says, seriously, nobody listening or trusting, and Tulip goes into grandma's room. Yeah, that's the thing that you get is the group is no longer the group anymore. They're all on their own, but the reason why they're still sticking together in the same spot, they're all for their own selfish reasons. Cassidy there is for Tulip. Tulip is there, well, because she got brought back to life, and she's actually there for Jesse. And Jesse is actually there because grandma's got him tied in there.
Now, and again, this is spot on for the comic. I just don't know how well it works for season 3. It's working fine for me, but I don't know if you're just getting used to these characters. And in season 3, we've got, and this is usually when people start splitting up, but it seems like they were kind of that way last season too.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like they haven't moved it ahead enough. I don't know. They need to speed things up. They've kind of solved that this season. It definitely feels like it's moving faster. Like
I call it the CW conflict. It's the one where it just reoccurs all the time. They solve it every episode, and then it crops back up again the next episode.
He's going to keep a secret, then he promises not to keep secrets.
He promises not to keep a secret. Then he,
then he tells
everything goes good at the end, and then he keeps a secret the next. And there's the next secret that comes up.
Yeah,
like wash, rinse, repeat. Okay, we don't need that anymore.
Nope. How's everybody doing in the chat tonight?
Yeah.
I hope you're all having a very good Sunday. We got Movie Fanobi, Man of Action, Pen Farm Girl, Viking Bitch, Philip A. Demick. I know I'm missing somebody there. I said Pen Farm. I did. And Jody. What's up, Jody? And yeah.
Viking Bitch says, maybe that's what's bugging me. The whole fight between Jesse and Cassidy seems to be throwing things off. It's not just that. There's a few things. And that whole fight between Jesse and Cassidy were, Cassidy is being more of an asshole than we've seen in the first 2 seasons. In this one, he's being really whiny, and I don't know. That's what's kind of bothering about Cassidy right now.
It's fine if they resolve it quickly. I mean, I don't have a problem with it right now. If this is like still going on in episode 9, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. And Philip A. Demick says, like the Westworld, similar theme about there being free will and people still choose to repeat their mistakes.
Yep. And also you have a power that's tough to do on TV. And Jesse's been depowered since the second to last episode of last season.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know when he's getting it back. And Jesse seems to be going down the dark side now at the end. Like he's in the tombs. He's got that top hat, was badass, by the way. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it seems like he's going down the dark path.
I started laughing actually because TC, the guy who plays TC, was in that sci-fi show Blood Drive, and he used to wear a top hat that it was exactly like that. And I wouldn't be surprised if that was his top hat from Blood Drive that he stole.
And maybe
production. Because it looked a lot exactly like that. That's all I'm going to say. Movie for Nobi says, "Hi Mary, I just haven't seen it yet. I'm open to try, but sometimes shows go off when creators leave and have known." Oh, okay, so they are talking about
American Gods and stuff. I loved American Gods season 1. It was so good, but creator takes off. It has to take an extra 6 months to shoot.
Yeah.
Pet Farm Girl says, "Just watch whatever Gary tells you to." I am not a teller. I'm a suggester. Okay. I don't tell people what to do unless I'm, not anymore. Even when I was a boss.
Yeah, Ian McShane is awesome in pretty much anything he does.
Yes,
so
he is.
I have to admit. Mary Ashmead says, AMC doesn't do things right. I don't want this to get canceled. I have a feeling that we're going to not get this one seen a season 4, unfortunately. That's what I'm getting of the vibes on this one.
Yeah, I don't think so. Oh, no, I'm just kidding, Pan Farm Girl. It's okay. I was just joking around. Now, I actually do tell people what to do all the time.
All the time. That's why you didn't see my eyes. You probably heard my eyes roll.
No, yeah. Pen Girl, you were telling it true, Farm Girl. It's all good.
Movie for Nobi says, "I lost my soul, found it next to the washer, stuck to a dryer sheet."
Oh.
Hopefully it wasn't too dirty.
Yeah.
More so than usual.
Cassidy is just so in love with Tulip. Jesse needs the power back because here comes Satan and Saint of Killers. Oh my God, I can't wait. The guy who plays the Saint of Killers, he was one of the freaking dwarves in The Hobbit, and he was in something else. Oh, he was in Outlander too. Yeah, that's right. He is so good.
He was also just in the current season of Colony at the very beginning. He was in a couple of episodes of that as well. Plays a really crazy dude. So Jody says, "Will Lucifer is getting a new season with a different..." Okay, so they're talking about Lucifer and the Vertigo stuff.
Lucifer we will check out. When it goes to Amazon, I have a feeling that show will level up a little bit. I didn't hate it. I thought it was pretty good. It was a little procedural, but that's kind of what you get in Hey, what's up, Diffuse 56? How you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you. I thought it was a good show. I probably, in hindsight, would have covered it from the beginning because I love the graphic novel. But it's not that. I mean, unlike Preacher, Lucifer is nothing like the graphic novel.
No, it's completely different. Yeah,
a lot like the graphic novel. And Mary Ashmead, you said you wish you had the Preacher comics. I don't know where you are. If you got a comic shop close to you, you definitely want to hit that first. If not, then Amazon has all the Preacher trade paperbacks available. They're fantastic if you're into kind of late 90s comic books, which I think that was a great time actually for comics, and Preacher was one of the best of all times.
Yeah, it was just after the glut of full splash pages and multiple covers and all that kind of crap.
What's up, Bad Bunny? How's it going? With Preacher. Okay, so when I purged my comic collection because I just couldn't fit it into my house, and I had to sell part of it with the store, but I kept pretty much all the good stuff. So I just kept all the storylines I liked, and some that I haven't read because I haven't read all my comic collection yet. And Preacher was like the first thing I kept. It was the first thing I went, okay, yeah, Preacher staying. That and Transmit. So.
Viking Bitch says, "We need to get back to the rest of the cast, like chapters in a book that concentrate on other characters and come back."
Absolutely correct, Viking Bitch. Again, I'm going to say is we're missing Hitler, but Arseface is such a good character, and they only gave him like 3 episodes, and they were great. The whole Hell Odyssey last season was awesome. That was probably my favorite part of it. Gary and Dennis, do you think they could eventually have a crossover with the Vertigoverse shows, assuming they were able or folded to say Amazon? Yeah. I mean, if they were all under, they are eventually all going to be under DC. I think even the Vertigo shows, if the DC platform takes off and a lot of people go to it, then I think they're going to start farming off their stuff to other networks and keeping it in-house, and then we'll have everything in-house, And that's where I kind of have a feeling that DC is if this comic thing continues for a few more years, which it might not, this whole like genre thing continues, I think DC is gonna not overtake Marvel, but be some serious competition very soon. They are coming hard right now. It looks like they've
hopefully.
course corrected. They're going to be a con in force. They got their streaming site together first. And they are the only thing that can compete with Disney. For one, Warner Brothers is huge, and it used to be bigger than like the top studio changes every few years, and Warner Brothers was the top studio a few years ago, so they can be again. I think they can do it.
Yeah, you know what? Speaking of which, I was watching Justice League because it's on HBO right now. Went back and looked at it, and it's still bad. Don't mind me on that one, but it has some moments in it where it's okay, but there was a lot of stuff that needed to be fixed in it.
What was my innuendo? I am full of innuendos moving. But yeah, I think part of it was we just want to see fucking Superman and Batman. We've seen so many. I'm sorry, we're getting off Preacher real quick. We've seen so many shows on the peripheral of either of them. When we actually see the main characters that people talk about in other shows for years, it's just nice to see. And then you realize, like, I have actually seen more episodes of Lois Lane than actual Superman.
Yeah.
Think about that. Okay. There's been more episodes of Lois Lane on television than of actual Superman. Thanks to Smallville.
Red horror adorer. That's hard to say. I think it's too early to be starting the whole Tulip Cassidy Jesse conflict. Spoiler ahead. I know that the reason for Cassidy and Jesse's big fight at the end is because of Tulip.
Yep. Yeah, that is true. And it looks like that's kind of where they're heading, right? Viking bitch, a little early. We haven't really seen them as an established team. And that's what they are. Okay. They actually start out the comic that way. I think somebody brought it up. Like the first season is kind of a prequel to the comic a bit, you know. I mean, it does a lot of things that the comic starts out midstream, you know. So they also, I do kind of miss how Genesis got consummated. I wish they would have shown that in through animation or something, you know, just the whole angel screwing a demon thing and having epic galactic sex during the Great War. There's something I really like about that.
Red Horror Door again. Yeah, I don't want to spoil, but that's what bothered me when they introduced it, because the reason Jesse can't forgive Cassie in the comics and what causes their downfall is the whole Tulip thing.
Yeah. Yep. No, yeah, it gets way deeper in the comics. Way deeper.
And Viking bitch, she says, yeah, they need to be a team before they get ripped apart.
Well, and they need a time to set up the greatest ending to a comic series, in my opinion. My favorite. I'll say it's my favorite. My favorite ending to a comic series is the end of Preacher. It's funny as hell and badass.
Mary Ashby says, yeah, the first season was badass, and they were all a team. Yeah, they were all together. It was a road trip. And that's the one thing I'm kind of missing about this. A lot of Preacher was a road trip, trying to find God. And now it's like, okay, God is hiding out in New Orleans as a guy in a dog suit that likes Stefan.
And that's straight up a budget thing.
Yeah.
And Dennis knows that is like setting up, you know, I don't know where I think they're shooting in exclusively
Atlanta.
Louisiana. I thought it was Louisiana. I thought they're in New Orleans. I think they're shooting in New Orleans and Louisiana.
Really? Yeah. I thought they were still in Atlanta, because I know AMC set up a whole, you know, they've got that whole compound now in Atlanta.
No, they mentioned it last year that they're shooting in New Orleans again.
Okay.
And that it's just, you know, most TV series are shot in a town and stuff. It's for budgetary reasons. Going on the road is very expensive, even though there's like states like California that can look like 5 different states.
Yeah.
Very easily. But nah, it's, you know, it's also really expensive to shoot anything here right now. It's expensive to do anything here. Okay. That's why.
Well, they did put the tax credit thing back into place again. This last month, as a matter of fact.
No movie Finobi. We, you know what? I decided to listen to the patrons, and I watched the last episode of Cloak and Dagger, and we're gonna do the finale. We'll be back for the finale.
Yep.
We will finish what we started, but like episode by episode. Not, I mean, really, not enough happens to recap. I'm sorry to say, it's very
Slow.
CW. Yeah, it's very slow, very very slow. Yeah. And there just wasn't a ton of interest. But I mean, the reason we're sticking with this show is because I love it. That's it. I mean, it's like the Tick. The Tick did our Tick recaps didn't get all the views in the world, but I freaking love the Tick. So
yeah, I love the Tick.
Yeah, it's this is a passion project. We'll call it. That's what we'll call
this
it.
one I'm tolerating.
Yeah, yeah.
That's pretty much about it.
There's going to be a bunch of TV news coming up for the stuff we cover at Comic-Con, and tomorrow for the Nooner, I'm going to be going over the Comic-Con schedule. They just dropped Saturday and Sunday today. So I'm going to be going over that in detail tomorrow. We also want to mourn the passing of the late great Steve Ditko. We talked about it on Friday, but rest in peace, Steve Ditko. We didn't know you very well, but we loved your art. So, and thanks for created so many characters, did so much, but was a recluse, like a true one too. I mean, that's the kind of guy. If they can, I'd love to make a movie about him, but like, does anybody? I don't know if anybody was close enough to even know him. I mean, that's the mystery of him. So,
yeah.
Sorry to see him go though.
Bad Bunny says, according to IMDb, it's shot in New Mexico.
Preacher.
Yeah.
That's it's season 1 was.
Yeah.
No, not season 3.
Movie Finobi, New Orleans is that's where Cloak and Dagger has been shooting. Yeah, we know that that one's actually shooting in New Orleans, but
yeah. Well, New Orleans is a very you get some major tax credits for shooting in New Orleans right now. They're trying to bring more business in to help the economy. And so once in a while, you'll see like what was it? The Carolinas were a really hot place to film back in the late 90s. Atlanta is a very hot place to film right now, and it's because the cities give major tax credits. Actually, San Francisco has recently, every 10 years or so, they change their minds and they decide to lift or give some tax credits. So that's why you're seeing more stuff filmed here.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of shit's been filmed here lately, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I remember for a while there. God, this is probably going back about like almost 15 years ago. There was a glut of shows that were happening down there. I remember used to driving down the street and remember God, what was that? Nash
Bridges.
Nash Bridges. There we go. Yeah, they would be filming on just about every street, man. You would see them drive. You'd see Don Johnson driving behind it. You know, they'd be pulling his car with a camera in the window there, and they'd be filming on a street.
Yep. And they just finished filming Venom and, of course, Ant-Man. Gary, isn't that why they do a lot of shows in Canada? Absolutely.
Yep,
Vancouver gives the best tax credits. Yeah. And also, it is kind of a good place to shoot sci-fi.
It's huge.
It's huge, and it's got that. It's the light, too.
Yeah.
The lighting. Preacher has been my favorite from the beginning, says Mary Ashmead, says $2. Yeah, I mean, I love the show. We will continue to cover it. We want it to do well. I don't want to sound like we don't. And I'm not saying that's what you're saying. I'm just saying it to the people who are going to watch this later as a video. It's like sometimes people misinterpret how I say it. I love this fucking show. I want it to do well. I'm not dissing it, but I'm the kind of fan. I'm not a rah. I'm not like a Raiders fan. Like a Raiders fan, everything's always golden. Okay, I'm sorry to mess with you Raider fans, but I'm a little Charger fan. I can't stand the Raiders, but I'm not one of those. I'm not one of the fans who's blinded by everything and everything my team or my show does is great. I'm a very critical fan. I'm like, when I see something screwing up, I will bring it up. And I think the AMC is fucking up with this show right now. And it's not it's not. Man of Action's right. It is not the creators. It is not the cast. It is not the writers. They're doing fine. It's their show isn't getting promoted well enough. We'll see at Comic-Con. We'll see how well it gets promoted there, if at all.
And Red Horror Adorer says, I think making grandma part of the voodoo thing sort of diminished the whole message of how religious zealotism is damaging. That was the message in the comics, is what they were saying.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. I think that's the one thing this show does kind of dance around is the some of the religion, even though it's called Preacher. You know, it's like it doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't. It's not as biting as it is. But I don't think the showrunners have as much knowledge about it than Garth Ennis does.
Yeah, and also I don't think they want to dive into that. I mean, if they go full into that as a show, they are going to have so much controversy that it's going to cancel the show.
They have God in an S&M dog suit riding around on a Harley. I think people are going to be okay. I really do. Actually, we said this last season too.
Yeah,
we brought this up last season. I think they're disappointed that they're not getting protested by any Christian groups. I think that was kind of part of like, hey, we're going to get protested by Christian groups. Man, that's going to be part of our marketing campaign. And it didn't happen. And they're like, oh, shit. Ennis has that nail hard back in the day Preacher started. Ennis has hit. Oh, sorry, I read that wrong. Ennis has hit that nail hard back in the day when Preacher started out in comics. You're right, Man of Action. And that's also when it was controversial too. Like he took it on when it was real controversial.
Yeah.
It was ballsy.
Mary Ashby says, hopefully it won't get canceled or someone will buy it out. Yeah, in order to do it justice, honestly, it needed to go to HBO or Amazon
and HBO has turned it down.
Yeah,
that's why it's on AMC. HBO had flat out turned it down, and somebody was, I think, was mad of action. Hey Gary, is there any more talk on The Boys and the Hitman TV show? I haven't heard anything on the Hitman, and we will find out next week on The Boys at the Amazon panel.
Not next week, but the week after.
The week after. Well, I mean, it's all a matter of perspective. It's the new week for me already. Sunday's a new week for me. And next week when I'm at con, or a week from Wednesday, or when's the Amazon panel? A week from Saturday? A week from this coming
Saturday. Yeah.
There's an Amazon panel for The Boys, and I will be videoing it, and it'll be up on the channel.
So I've reached the end of the chat there.
Okay. How would you have felt if Kevin Smith did Preacher instead? He was the first choice of director. No, I think they started out with the right people.
Yeah, they did start out with the right people.
I was really questionable about Seth Rogen, but yeah, he did a great job.
Yeah, I couldn't see Kevin Smith doing this. He's fine where he's at doing CW shows. That's where he belongs.
Yeah, Kevin Smith, and he's admitted this. His talent is actually pretty limited as a director. He's a good comedic director. Okay, he can direct comedy, which is hard in itself. That's plenty fucking hard. And he can write comedy, which is kind of the hardest thing to do as far as writing. So he's very talented in one field. But you saw with his, I mean, some people love it. You know, I don't think he's cut out for it.
No, I don't think so either. He directs a lot of Supergirl episodes. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, I wouldn't know. It's TV directing is practical. It's like TV editing. No disrespect to the people who work out there, but I've worked it in a little bit, and it's almost done for you. So yeah.
Movie Fanobi, why did Seth leave? He and Goldberg actually went over to do The Boys over at Amazon.
Yep.
So they are showrunners for that right now.
They are credited as showrunners right now, but I think it's
producers.
They're executive producers.
Yeah.
But they are not involved in the day-to-day
showrunners. Yeah. The showrunners went over to the two heads of the writing staff that were writing season 1 and season 2. No, season 2, not season 1, season 2. So the two people that were the head writers there have now moved over to the showrunner as for Preacher.
Yep. And they're currently filming The Boys as we speak.
Yeah.
So I think we'll get that early next year.
Yep, 2019.
Yep.
That's when it's supposed to happen.
Yeah. Do you know the show I'm wondering about, totally off subject, is freaking Taboo? They're not filming it, and I just saw a recent picture of Tom Hardy, and he is not in James Delaney shape at all. So he's
know.
actually doing an Al Capone movie or something right now. So yeah, I don't know if Taboo is even going to happen, which is damn shame. I guess it is, but it's just going to be a while.
It's probably gonna be like 3 years before we see anything.
God, that was a good show. I'm just going to have to go back and watch it again.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll wrap this one. We got one more chat. I am not ready to give up, Jody. I am. I have a burnt brain. I've burnt my brain out this weekend trying to complete a piece of art that has been fighting me. God, I mean, I'm not as good an artist as Viking Bitch, but I totally feel when you've been fighting with art with something that's not flowing, and sometimes it feels like you're forcing it. Yeah, it drains you. It drains you. The show is flattened out into constant tension, punctuated by violence and gore. Sameness, says Diffuse 56. Yeah,
that's actually a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
I think
not that we're against either of those things, right, no. Dennis? But it's when you deliver them, right?
Yeah, if you don't do them creatively, it can get kind of repetitive and just
right. Okay, I know I promised the gosh dang. Speaking of fighting with something, I was fighting with the video for the Patreon. So next video on Monday, I will release my new Patreon video, which is got a lot more stuff on it. It actually shows. It's like thank you for the $5 super chat. Thanks, Viking Bitch and Gary and Dennis and all. Says Diffuse
thank
56.
you.
You're welcome, and thank you, Viking Bitch. Also, thank Mary Ashby for a $2 super chat and Movie Fanobi for a $1.09 in super chat. I would like to thank our patrons. They are wonderful. I hope you enjoy your packages. If you've not received your package, you will be getting it soon. Yes, if you join our Patreon, we give you stuff that actually is worth more than what you contribute. How does that work? Yeah. Well, it's nerderotic economics, as we like to say. So next show will be the Nooner tomorrow, where we will go over in detail the Comic-Con schedule, talk about Steve Ditko, and of course, talk about shows we have covered and will be covering. I'll also give you guys a preview of like what we're going to be doing over the summer. It's going to be kind of a light week for us this week as far as Nerderotic podcast. I think after the Nooner, our next show will be Friday night. Now there is a possibility. There's a couple of shows that there's one show that's premiering. I have to see the trailer and check it out before I announce it. We will be testing out stuff as the summer goes on. So, but we'll give you guys plenty of notice in the Facebook group that Dennis runs. Please check us out, facebook.com/Nerderotic and Nerderotic podcast group. And Dennis's Twitter is @DeForce. Mine is @Nerderotics. Please follow us. That's where we put out most of our information, and go to nerderotic.com where our schedule is up. And just to warn you again, lots of live streams coming from San Diego. Lots and lots. So
and remember to like, share, and subscribe.
Yes, especially now. You know, it's kind of a slow period for us. Like, so tell a friend.
Yeah, definitely.
Not to get you up too much, but
and also, since we're going to be having a little more of a slow period, now's a good time to go through our library. We've got lots and lots of videos that go back a couple of years.
Yeah.
So you can see our old shit and see how bad we are, or how much we are.
See how the same we are. Yeah. So go back and watch some old shows and watch our recaps. But this is also going to free us up. We will be doing more content. It's just going to be on Patreon for a while.
Yeah.
So we're going to be getting experimental on Patreon. All right, guys. Thank you so much in the chat. Movie Fanobi, Pen Farm Girl, Jody, Mary Ashmead, Diffuse 56, Man of Action. It's good to see you. Red Horror Adorer. Love that name. I just got ahead of myself. Movie Fanobi. Did I say Movie Fanobi? Yep. And Random Gamer User 42. Saw you in there. Bad Bunny. It's good to see you again, Bad Bunny. Don't want to wean off too hard, but if you got to take a break, I understand. We won't, though. Although I was thinking about it. I was toying with the idea of taking like a couple weeks off, but nah. I would stick to that for like 48 hours. And Philip A. Demick.
Yes. Jody says Nerderoticonomics.
Nerderoticonomics. I like that. Philip A. Demick, I want to read this one. I'm bummed about Venom coming out soon and no one talking about Steve Ditko dying and Stan Lee being a prisoner in his own home. Philip, I'm going to talk about both of them. I Love Comics did a pretty good live stream. I thought it was good. He was good. talking about Steve Ditko in detail because they're more of a comics channel. But I'm gonna get into it a little bit as much as I can. I've tried to find something out on the guy. I only have the story of me buying his art, but like there's nothing out there. And I've talked to comic creators and nobody knows anything about him. So yeah, it's sad, but I mean, he was 90.
Yeah,
he lived a good old life.
And Jody, yes, Discord will be happening this summer.
Yes, Discord is happening. Oh yeah, I'm working on that. Don't worry. All right, guys. Dennis, take us out.
Children of Earth, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out.
May the small folks sing songs of your greatness. Save Preacher, maybe. Are we there yet? I don't know. Hopefully not. Please watch it.
A couple more episodes. Yeah.
Don't listen to AMC. Don't not watch Preacher. Like watch Preacher, something like that. You know what I'm talking about.
Watch it.
Watch it. Bye-bye.